What up, what up, what up? How's everybody doing today? We've got President-elect Kit Kat.
Hi.
Conservative Ant.
Ooh, love it.
Ooh, did the hat flake. Look at that. Insurrection. And we got Rebel Fox 88 from Tiki Talk. What's going on, Rebel Fox? How are you?
Hello. How are you guys?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. We're in the thick of it right now, but I'm all right. Hanging in there.
Before we get into the thick of it, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my background's with animals. I own a grooming salon here in town. Been grooming for about 16 years. My background is animal advocacy. So I've done a lot of protests. I've done a lot of village hall meetings, things like that. And when the pandemic hit, my focus kind of shifted because I was told that I had to close my business and I wasn't going to get a paycheck. So I started my fight at the beginning of the pandemic, fighting for my business and my livelihood and my employees. So we were one of the few, if not only, businesses in my town that didn't close. And I had the whole industry turn on me, and they were reporting any grooming salons they knew that were open. So people who are my friends, my really close friends, are not anymore. So that was kind of my first taste of what was to come with this whole thing. And then the school part got brought in when the rumors started flying around about them not going back. So at that moment, I didn't want my daughter to participate at all. I didn't think it was a good idea. It just wasn't good for her. So she hasn't set foot in a school since March of 2020. Wow. When it all started. So I homeschooled her.
Did you do like the virtual homeschool, or you're doing your own full homeschool?
We went old school and did books.
She makes them.
So how did you find out? Like, because there's a lot of parents that I'm seeing that are like, we want to do homeschool, but like, how do you even get started at homeschool, and how do I find the resources to start doing this?
The first thing with homeschool, you have to check your state laws. So I live in Illinois, which obviously is one of the worst states to live in this country. But believe it or not, we have very loose homeschool laws. So you have to withdraw your child from your school. So in Illinois, that's as simple as sending an email to your principal and your super. And I had a template that a homeschool mom, I can give this to anyone that lives in Illinois. They sent me a template. You fill in the blank, put your kid's name, sign it, date it, whatever. And then we don't have to provide our schools anything further from that point, even if they ask for it. Sorry. So they asked for more stuff or for me to sign a form, and I just didn't respond. And I went right to my client. I know tons of people in the community from my business. So I groom a woman's dog who has homeschooled all of her children, high school down to kindergarten. So I reached out to her, and she was wonderful. She sent me the homeschool laws. She sent me links to Facebook groups that are homeschool only, all kinds of resources. And I decided the best curriculum for me, there's quizzes online you can take to find out like what your homeschool style is. There's a couple different styles. I decided to just do it homeschool or old school with just textbooks, because she had to do the e-learning in March 2020 when everything stopped, and she didn't do well. So I just didn't want her on a computer at all during this whole process. So we did workbooks, and I work full time. So this was when I got home, or she would do work while I was at work. Now I have my children. I have childcare right now. So my children actually come to work with me. I built a room upstairs. We have a loft, and I just made them an entire area. They can do school, they can play, they can watch TV. There's a mini couch, like there's a fridge up there. It's all set up. But we did that the old school way last year. This year, we're doing a combination of some virtual and book work, and then supplemental stuff. Like there's some camps out here that the kids can participate in. That's considered like science, history, depending on where you go. You go to a museum. That's all part of homeschool. So the mindset has to change. We've been so brainwashed with this public jail-like system. Like, think about how these kids are treated in school.
Socialized
Compare
education.
it to like prison. Yeah. So, and like we've just
And then
kind of
imagine
accepted
it,
that,
like
'cause
I'm
that's
horrified
been life,
when
right?
the kids go
Once
back.
you step out of it, when you kind of get out of it and you look in from a different perspective, it's really weird because homeschool schedule is on your time. It's not 8 hours a day. You're teaching one child, not 30. So your homeschool can be anywhere from 45 minutes to 3 to 4 hours, whatever you want to do. You go at your own pace. You can pick and choose. You don't have to do every single subject every day and try to get through every single subject every day. One day can be all about science. The next day it can be all about math. You could do worksheets. You could do stuff online. You know, like it's so customizable. Everyone says it's hard, and it's not hard. It's overwhelming. It's intimidating because it's different and it makes you think different. And we all know people don't like thinking differently, right? So you have to retrain your mind. So I was going to actually just homeschool Mia and just not deal with school. That was my mindset in the fall of last year. I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to homeschool her, screw school. And then I started seeing all the stuff on social media. And the fact that our school said they were going back up until like, I think 2 days before school last year, they said, nope, all remote. So parents were furious. I was like, this is a joke. So I started asking questions. And I got added to a group that was about getting the kids in school for just hybrid. That's all they were asking for at that time. And that was like insane to say out loud on the internet. People thought you were a horrible person for wanting that. Like the hate that we have gotten throughout this whole process is insane. Absolutely insane when we're advocating for choice. We literally are, no matter what we've advocated for this whole process, it's always been choice. You know, I don't boo the opposers when they speak. I'm all about your freedom and I'm all about your freedom to choose. But we have to admit we have a political issue with schools. Your governor picks your state board of education. I don't want anyone to sit here and argue with me that school's not political. It starts political with the state board of education. Like, how can you even argue that? It trickles down. It trickles down to county and then city. You think these people don't have friends that trickle down into these positions and then they pump everybody? How the fuck do people think people become politicians? This is where we need to be battling them because this is where they're being put for later, bigger. Like Joe Biden could have got kicked out had his area had some people paying attention when he was running for local office, and he would have never made it to the top. But you know what? We have people that don't pay attention. So that has to change first of all. This group started, and these girls were wonderful, full of ideas, but so riddled with fear because the backlash was heavy. So insert me. They were put in touch with me because I could do the social media aspect and get the attention focused on the group. I knew how to make headlines with our local paper. So I came in and I made a video compilation of several kids who emailed short little snippet videos, kind of like we do the happy birthday videos on TikTok.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. But it was kids literally telling you how they felt about being in isolation. So it was on YouTube and it went viral locally. Like the paper talked about it. I got called so many names. People said I was manipulating children or lazy parents. We just want babysitters. And it was a joke, but that got attention. And then we started showing up to board meetings. And we did a car rally in January of last year. That was our very first rally that we did. We were actually going to hold it somewhere else, and we got some pressure from police. And the property owner ended up last minute changing his mind and not letting us do it. So we did a last minute car rally. It's Illinois in January. So, you know, it's freaking freezing here. I'm sitting out on my sunroof. There's a photo of me on my TikTok page. It's in a few of my videos. I'm holding a giant sign that says Oswego Community School District report card, and there's a big F on it. And it says, do better, be better. That made the cover of the paper. I knew it was going to make the cover of the paper, which is why I did it, because I was trying to get people to pay attention to what we were screaming about, because our board didn't care. And back then, you couldn't even go in the board meetings because of COVID. So everything was virtual. And then you could submit an email. They might read it, they might not, but what does that do? So we made noise. We packed the parking lot We blared music. Everyone had signs. Everyone was flashing their lights, honking, doing all the things. And it made a big punch. But then we got labeled, you know, the crazy right wingers, and we've been called QAnons. People have made all kinds of crazy accusations trying to paint a picture of what our group isn't because we bother them so much. And we did finally win this last summer, mass optional, after much pressure. We've done rallies on the side of the road. You guys have probably seen Jerry the sheep, the blow up sheep. Have you seen him yet? So the sheep guy kind of took things to like a whole new level as far as our media exposure goes. I don't think there's a soul in this county that doesn't know about that damn sheep. But it made waves. But the problem is then you had people that, you know, maybe supported kids not being masked but got the vaccine, and then we pissed those people off. And I just kind of had a moment, and I was like, you know what, we're just gonna piss people off no matter what we do. So I personally have no problem with Jerry, so I'm gonna rally with Jerry. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. But it's making noise that's really important, and I'm not seeing enough of it all across the country. I'm seeing it in certain spots. Like, even if your school is giving you some stuff you want, but not all of it, you should be rallying. You should be showing up to board meetings. You should be doing the things. Everybody should have their emails for their board of education. That can be found on your school website. Your superintendent should always be included in all of those emails. You address the board as a whole. Always be polite. They're not going to read your email all the way if you're swearing and telling them, you know, how horrible they are. Have some diplomacy in your emails. You're going to get a lot farther that way, which is really hard for you guys. But if I can do it, you can do it. Board meetings are hard to stay calm. It's emotional. You have people that oppose you in the room, and they're making it known. Their speeches discredit you, and sometimes they speak before you, and their speech might not have anything to do with what your speech is about to be about, but now you're fired up because they just shit all over you, and you got to keep your composure up there. And I think I'm a little too stern with how I say my words, but I'm pretty good at keeping my voice from shaking. Like, that's a big thing. People can't understand you very well when you're talking into a mic. And I understand this is your children. I'm not saying no one should be not passionate, but you got to kind of pay attention to that stuff, because maybe you had a really kick-ass speech and people want to share that on the internet to inspire others. It's ruined because we can't hear you, or you're too loud, or you're yelling.
So sorry to cut you off too, by the way. Like when I speak at county meetings, they're very strict. They're very, the quorum is very professional, and most of the time, like 99% of the time. Is it different for school board meetings? Because with county, you have, you know, certain laws and whatnot.
So it's timed, first of all, and every school is different. Ours are sometimes 5 minutes, but when it's a really hot topic, they will shorten it to 3 because you're going to have more speakers. Okay. So you have to know that ahead of time before you write a speech. That's a good tip. So I'm glad you brought that up. Know how long you have to speak. Email your communications director, whoever at your school, and find that out. So that way, and then rehearse your speech and make your speech be less time than you're allotted, because you're gonna stumble and fumble and you need some wiggle room. So I keep my speeches usually to like 2 minutes and 35 seconds in a 3-minute limit. And that gives me enough time. Sometimes I go off the cuff, you know, like things happen. So that gives you some room. But speak clearly, speak loudly, and try not to let your voice shake. It's okay to be passionate and be emotional and be stern, but you got to make sure you're heard. So that's really important, because there's some videos out there floating around. I can hear the message and it's amazing, but it's not coming through very well. So some people aren't going to watch that all the way. I'm invested in this stuff, so I'm going to watch it, but not everybody will watch that. But going to those board meetings, like they keep patronizing us, saying that they love that we're there and they're so glad that we're paying attention now. And like, it's so patronizing. I hate it.
Does your
They
school
don't like
board,
that you're there.
when you're at your meeting, do they know that you're homeschooling now?
Yeah. You
Do
don't
you-
have to be a parent.
Right. And that was my point is I know you don't have to be a parent, but do you get backlash being that you don't have a child in that school anymore? Because like out here, I know for like my in Frisco where I have a friend that lives, they are trying to vote out a school board member because they homeschool.
Ooh. That would be in the board's like rules and regulations. They could look that up. I'm sure they have. If that's a rule and they're breaking it, they have cause. It's really hard to recall a board, and Illinois actually doesn't have that option. Go figure.
Well, they're not
right?
recalling. We're just going to
If
vote
you
her
can
out.
catch them on something. Oh well, just campaign.
So basically,
like
they're giving her crap essentially because she's a homeschool and doesn't have her kids in that school district. So a lot of the parents are like, well, if you're not even going to allow your kids to be a product of the school system, why do you need to be on the school board?
So if there's no rule against it, anyone's opinion on why is kind of irrelevant at that point. Because if it's allowed, it's allowed. We got crapped on for, we have a wolf pack, which is our Kendall County Commission. It's a political group. We're more active. And they rallied to show up to the board meeting to pack the house and support us. These are all taxpayers of the district, but they didn't have kids, and parents made it like, oh, well, the Republican Party showed up, and like they got all mad about that. But they also got mad that we had a man from a neighboring town, Plainfield. He ran for school board. He was meant to speak publicly. Like, he's just great. He came and he called them out and told them that it's actually not legal for the state to withhold funding for violating the mandate. And because he wasn't from our town and he wasn't a parent of our district, they dismissed him, didn't acknowledge what he said, and just harped on the fact that he wasn't from our district. So that stunk. And then that somehow turned into 30 people from out of town, they were saying showed up to the board meeting, which wasn't true. But you got to kind of be strategic, because they will find the littlest thing and destroy your message so no one hears it. In January, when I spoke, you had to wear masks. And obviously I wear glasses and I was reading from a paper. So my mask never came below the tip of my nose, but it was bobbing. My nostrils were never exposed. This woman, who was the president of my board last year, knew that it was being live streamed on YouTube, but they could not see me, they could see her. So she interrupted my public comment 3 times, cut into my time, to remind me to pull my mask above my nose, literally a centimeter. And she did it on purpose because the public couldn't see me. So what did they turn me into? The anti-masker, and my speech was forgotten. You know what I was talking about when she did that? Single mothers who had to choose between keeping their job or staying home because their kids are home and there's no school. That's when she chose to start interrupting. She didn't want people to hear that. And this is the stuff that they do. So you have to be prepared. I didn't miss a beat. I kept going. But that could trip up somebody, and then their whole public comment is ruined. But you gotta
You're
be.
in Illinois, right?
Huh?
You're in Illinois, right? Some people are asking about where you're located. Okay.
I am. There's a lot going on in Illinois right now. It's not just COVID. We have a sex ed bill where they want to implement sex ed in kindergarten through 5th grade with very graphic things. Anybody that wants to look that up, feel free. And then they want to gain control of homeschool, private school, as well as public school. And
so Rebel,
they're doing it because we're leaving.
So Rebel, I have to ask, so I don't know if anybody was able to watch Biden's press conference today. So he was very focused on keeping kids in America masked and getting them vaccinated, even though Americans are dying in Afghanistan and he doesn't plan on bringing them back. So,
to be fair, he said absolutely nothing about Afghanistan. To be fair.
Yeah, correct. You're absolutely correct.
Well, that's because that's what the Taliban's for.
Yeah, and it was a very strange time, not to derail from what we're talking about, but it was a very strange time for a president of the United States to disappear and then come back on, not mention what's going on, and then push COVID. Anyway.
And the masks for kids.
Masks for kids. So as you see parents fighting and getting fed up in different counties all over the nation, I think that we've been seeing it here in Florida and Sarasota County. I know there's some friends of ours from TikTok that have been really loud, like Zach and Candy have done a great job of going to their school board and making masks
they have.
Optional. And even in Florida and Texas, I mean, I'm sure there's some counties that are making it mandatory for the kids to wear it. It's not just if you're a red state or a blue state.
No.
Not having kids in school, I'm mortified that these kids are going through a second school year of not seeing their friends' faces and being muzzled the entire year. So as the president continues to push this, do you think that it makes parents more fueled, or do you feel that parents are going to be more fueled now, or
2.5?
Third year?
Yes, yeah.
Third year, even worse.
Yeah. There you are. I started crying on Sunday. I went to a rally to unmask the kids, and we got to actually shut down the road of a local downtown and march on the bridge and shut down one lane and march. I think there was about 500 people there, which I know doesn't sound like a big number, but we're talking about rallies that I'm throwing that like 20 people are showing up. Parents are not coming, and they're going to be too late. But those same parents are the parents that are sending their kids to school mask because they're like telling themselves that it's okay. Like, oh, it's fine. We'll just give into the mask. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stick to my guns. But more parents need to show up, but they are. It just sucks. It's late in the game. So they have to kind of go from 0 to 100.
Do you have any advice on how to get more parents involved? Because that was one of the questions or the comments that we had in here is getting more people involved and rally troops, essentially.
So I hate this question because I hate my answer, and it's Facebook. That's where all parents are. You're not going to find them on Telegram.
That's where the moms and like the mom groups are. And
yeah. So we have been completely shut down in every mom group we've posted in. They hate us, that's fine. I'm not in any mom groups. I don't do mom groups.
Isn't that crazy? Do you not find that a little crazy
Do
you not find that a little crazy that moms are getting mad at other moms for trying to protect children? Because that's a kind of a mother instinct.
Well, these moms don't think their children need to be protected, and that's kind of the problem. Ironic. Like, we're just not the same breed of person.
I hate to be the one that says it, but like, you also have that group of moms who have been stuck at home day in and day out, and they're like, my God, these kids need to go back to school. They need the social break. I need the social break. And people are so tired. And it's like, I know that they're beating you down, but this is when you can't stop, is when you feel the need to cave. When you're feeling that urge this year, like, oh, what's one more year with a mask? Like, this is the year to make it stop.
So I did a video that said, like, everyone has an excuse, and your excuse is no better than yours. Guys, I work and run my business full time. I bring them to work. You know what it's like to bring a 4-year-old to a grooming salon? It sucks. Like, she's all over the damn place. She's learning a lot, which is great. And my other one grew up in the salon, so she's good. But like, my life sucks in the sense of it's non-stop. So when I hear these people making all these excuses that I too could have said, but I found a way to make it work, it's infuriating to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm sacrificing so much. I'm sacrificing my own health right now. My doctor was like, you have to stop. And I said, I can't. He said, get rid of stress. I said, we'll get rid of fucking Biden and we'd be okay. But we can't do that, sir.
Biden is gone, I will sit down for a little bit.
If one more doctor tells me to eliminate stress, I'm going to scream. But I mean, I'm not my healthiest right now, and it's from stress, you know? So like, I'm stretching myself thin, but what's more important to do that for than my children?
Yep.
Like, I'm not sending my kid to a school with woke. I'm not sending her to a school with woke teachers. I'm not.
So what's
You know what they
what's
talked
it
about
like
in high
being
school today? Fucking pronouns. The teacher
What's-
wanted their last name, their favorite fucking color, and their pronouns. I swear, I shit you not, I can send you the photo. On dry
Oh, I
erase board.
believe you. And I would pull my fucking kid out in 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Like,
Gay
this
guy.
sucks.
Hi.
I
Pronouns.
Breaking
I would
news.
tell
I'm
her
just
where she
like-
could shove her pronouns.
I'm fully prepared for the fact that more
Yeah.
than likely on enrollment night, I will be enrolling and then immediately unenrolling my children in the same night.
You guys, if a
So,
business
are they-
owner were to email me signed with their pronoun, I wouldn't even take them seriously anymore, and I
No.
would completely stop doing business with them.
I
It is
100%
so
agree.
unprofessional and fucking bullshit. You can stick your pronouns right up your fucking ass.
How,
You're male or
man?
you're female, you're Mr. or Mrs. That's fucking it. Period. RT.
I feel like we
God.
need fake applause. We need fake applause while he's talking. That'd be awesome.
We're working
I
on
totally
it.
agree. And I think I keep saying this to our parents in my town. We have a maturity and an entitlement problem with our teachers. We have the budget. We've done almost 40 FOIAs at this point. Because again, my school has a lot more problems than just COVID. Most of our teachers make over $60,000.
So
And they
can
say
you
they
touch
don't make a lot.
can you touch just a little bit on like you're a business owner, so obviously you're busy, we're running your business, and now you take on homeschooling. For those that like whether they work a full-time job or stay at home full-time or are a business owner, what's it like juggling that around, like between you and your husband, like, and how do you guys bounce tasks off each other, kind of deal, just to give some encouragement to those that want to do it but don't think that
So-
they'll help their kids?
Depending on what your situation is, like my husband's schedule is like a set 40 hours a week, X time to X time, and he usually works overtime. So most of the time I don't know what time he's going to be home. So my schedule is the one that morphs to whatever's going on here. So my schedule has changed a lot over the last 2 years between COVID and, you know, we had COVID protocols even though we kept our business open. We didn't have a human in our business from March to June. So my schedule has been all over the place, but I have that ability. Obviously, I'm my own boss. But again, it's on your time. So the first thing I think will relieve the most stress from parents right now that want to homeschool, get it out of your head that you have to do it for 8 hours a day. Because that's what's in your head right now. That's why you're panicking. You are thinking of traditional school where everybody's up in the morning, rushing around, getting ready to get out the door, and then your kid goes to school for 8 hours. That's not homeschool. Like your morning can stay the same as it currently is now. Think about that. That doesn't change. Your nighttime routine doesn't have to change. You just have to figure out where you're going to work that time in. And then the childcare aspect is a big one. Obviously, some parents, both parents work. We are a double parent household. I had childcare last year. I do not have it this year, which is why they're at work with me. But I understand you can't do that at any job. So you gotta rely on friends, family. Find something and find support. You know, these homeschool groups sound cheesy. I mean, it's not a group I think I would have ever joined 2 years ago, but they're so nice and supportive. And there's like little groups that like help each other with childcare. Like you can go and meet people. Today was the first day of school for my district. So I stayed off Facebook because I did not want to see all these happy photos of kids in masks. I didn't want to see it. So I stayed off Facebook. And we met a bunch of new homeschool moms from my parent group on Facebook, and it was awesome. The first day of school where most of the kids in this town were going to school mass, we were at a fucking park, living our best lives. Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't sound so bad, does it?
Mm-mm.
And I can't do that on a normal day. I can't just be at a park at 12:30. Like it just happened to work out today because I work late on Wednesdays, but it was nice to do. It was nice. My daughter, we live on a street with no kids and no sidewalks. She don't got much. And unless her cousins are here, she has no friends. She hasn't been to fucking school since 3rd grade. She's in 5th grade. So she met 2 girls today, which was huge. And they're her age, and one of them.
That was my fear as a mom, and I know that a lot of other is the social aspect.
You have to make an effort. So
you're getting some kudos from your husband, by the way.
Is he watching?
Yeah.
I thought you were playing your game.
No,
he left you an awesome comment.
You up.
Yeah, he is.
Talking about how amazing you are.
I feel bad for him because he takes the brunt of the home life when I'm out there doing all like I could literally when I did dog rescue, I could just be a normal Saturday and I'm cleaning the house, and then all of a sudden I get a text and I'm out the door and I can't really explain, but it's dog related and I gotta go. He wouldn't get mad. He'd just be like, all right, okay, let me know. And he'd take it. And that's what he's doing with this school stuff. Like I have board meetings. I have Wolfpack meetings twice a month. I have the Republican meeting once a month. It's a lot. And now we're launching Awake Oswego, and we're going to have a once a month meeting for that too. So he takes all the responsibility, and we have a lot of dogs. Like I'm sure you guys know that by now. We have a lot of dogs. He handles all that, and that's not his thing. So he's good. But you have to, be a team.
Team effort.
Big too. But I know some single moms who homeschooled last year and they did great. And they said they loved it. So it doesn't have to be a 2-people household. I don't want anyone who's a single parent to think that they can't do it. It really just everyone's situation is going to be custom. We all live such different lives.
What about those parents that say that they're not a teacher?
Okay, that's a funny question to ask me because I had said that forever about grooming. My oldest employee that I have, who's been with me since I went storefront, I was a home-based groomer first. She wasn't a groomer when I hired her. She wanted to learn to groom, and she had expressed interest prior. Other people had asked me to teach them, and I always said that. I always said I'm not a teacher. I'm also lefty, and let's be honest, most people are right-handed. So me teaching somebody something like that, it's weird. Are you?
Mm-hmm.
So weird. But yeah, so I ended up teaching her to groom, and she grooms better than me.
You're an alien.
How does that? Yeah, for real. And then, so I wasn't a teacher, and I taught someone how to groom, so there's that. And then I said the same thing last year. I was like, God, how the hell am I going to do this? I'm not a teacher. You're not making all this stuff up. There's worksheets and workbooks. Everything walks you through it. The answers are in the back of the book, guys. Did you forget from school?
Right.
It it's pretty much idiot proof.
Well, the thing is that all of us as parents are teachers. We teach our children to walk, to talk. We teach them manners. We teach them to cook.
Some of us do.
Eat. What?
Some people don't teach manners.
Right. But what I'm saying is that I don't know. I'm really scared because I had said that I was sticking to my guns. If any of the things on my list were being instated in my kids' school, we're done. I'm pulling them and they're done. As of right now, what we're being told is that none of this is going to happen. The school board meeting is tomorrow night. School starts in 4 days. We shall see.
Well, I think it goes back to what
free for all in Michigan.
No, God, no. My district.
Didn't they get rid of the mandate?
What, the mask mandates?
Yeah.
So for my kids' schools, it's recommended but not required as of right now.
That's
a week and a half
ago. That's what they did with us.
But then Biden just came out. So I'm like, okay, I'm waiting. And like I said, I feel like it's as soon as I enroll them, I'm going to be unenrolling them. We'll see. But they're not wearing masks. I'm not doing that again.
When I think back to what Rebel had said at the very beginning is that we've been kind of indoctrinated that public school or private school or some sort of structural school is the only way to do it, and we can't do it. Because there was a time where kids were taught at home before socialized education was brought in. And so I think that was a solid point that she made at the very, very beginning was we've been indoctrinated in this.
It's called unschooling, and it's an actual homeschool method. You can look it up. There's a bunch of different ones. You can Google or whatever, homeschool curriculums. It'll pull up links to everything. You'll find a quiz there to like figure out what your personality is. I don't know how accurate it is, but whatever. And then from there, there's resources like links to stuff you can pull from that curriculum. And then there's people that use all of those methods and like interchange them. And that's something else you can consider. But you just have to go through all of them. There's like a classical version. So that's probably like more workbook, textbook, old school.
Right.
There's the unschooling method. There's a bunch of different ones. And they're really interesting to read through. And I recommend that for anyone starting because that alone is going to make you feel better once you read how all those options work. You're going to be like, oh, I can do that. You know, it's not as overwhelming once you get into it. And you have to remember, like, you don't have a boss. No
right.
Well, that's your shoulder telling you you're doing it wrong.
Fear that like someone's going to come get you. Someone's going to come tell you that you're doing it wrong.
If you have a mental breakdown, just call me and I will talk you off the ledge and smack the stupid out of you, and you'll get back on track and you'll just be good. Like I had meltdowns last year, guys. I had many meltdowns. The whole year just sucked between the business and homeschool and just fighting the school that doesn't give a crap about anything we have to say. They're all Democrats. They don't care. And then we have all these parents that have nothing better to do than to discredit us 24/7. I didn't even know there was a counter group. It's called SOS, Save Our Schools. It was about pushing a referendum like a year or two ago, and then it kind of progressed into the COVID nut job group. So that's where all of our favorite people are in my town. I was never in that group, so I didn't know it existed. And when my video went viral, they started running their mouths, and they were saying some really nasty stuff, flipping the narrative. And I'm like, my freaking kid is in this video literally talking about her experience, and you're being a fucking asshole. And you're saying I'm manipulating these kids.
They don't care about it though. Joe Biden, Jen Psaki admitted that they don't even have anybody on their little committee board that's looking into the psychiatric effects of masking these kids. She was directly asked if anybody on the board exists like that, and she said no.
Well,
it's not something that we're looking into. Like,
well, they're
how are you not looking into that?
They're gonna avoid that. They're gonna avoid looking into that stuff as long as possible. You know, our school is using the funding from 2019, so all of us pulling out is like our fuck you to the school. It's not even gonna impact them financially because JB just said, oh, you know what? The current rules don't work, so I'm just going to rewrite them. And this is what we're going to do because the parents are mad and we can't have them causing trouble. And then the testing, I pretty much just passed every kid last year, let's be honest. Yep. And they didn't test them. Why is that? Why didn't they do all that
because
fancy
you don't want to see how
testing?
Low their test scores were because of how bad they were isolated.
Guess what test scores we're using? 2019. So, like, how is that even okay?
Yeah.
How is their parents out there not questioning that? They're like, oh, yes, that makes perfect sense, Governor. No, it's stupid.
Oh.
So, Rebel, if you'll
kind of angry because I live in Illinois.
If you'll kind of walk us through a little bit of the school board. I know that, like, I guess the first phase of any type of fighting the schools to start showing up to school board meetings, correct?
Yes. Show up, email, and public comment. Your school board should have a town hall sometimes. Ours is twice a year, I believe. That is a more open dialogue meeting than a typical board meeting. One of the biggest issues we're having with board meetings is all these parents are showing up now, which is incredible, but they don't know how these meetings work. So it makes them look bad, and it makes us look bad. So, you know, you have a timed public comment. Find out how long you have to speak prior to the meeting. Write your speech, rehearse it. You know, when you're speaking, obviously be respectful. The board, our board does not get paid. It is a elected volunteer position. So don't go up on the podium and say, we pay your bills. Because you don't.
Because
you don't. You look stupid. That kind of stuff really messes with the message, and I'm seeing a lot of that. And they're just not going to listen to you at that point because they're annoyed. And you need to make sure that you have a solid group of people emailing constantly. Drive them up the wall. Be the most annoying person you can be, but while also being the nicest person you can be. And like they hate us right now because I think we're up to 40 FOIAs. We have FOIA'd everything. We have FOIA'd the budget. We have FOIA'd, you can FOIA emails from your board. So we FOIA'd everything COVID from X date to X date. We FOIA'd X date to X date words Trump and Biden. We got a Trump packet emailed from a nurse school email to her nurse school email. So I don't know what she was doing there. And it is a satire packet about how to talk to Trump supporters. And it's like page 1, fuck you. Page 2, fuck you, motherfucker. And then there's like Bible verses for Trump supporters. And they're like rewritten Bible verses. And I was like, that's a bold move. Jokes for Trump supporters. Like, it was terrible. Satire, obviously. So we brought this. Yeah, we found this in a FOIA. So we brought this to social media. Everybody lost their minds. Local news picked it up. Guess what happened to that nurse? She got promoted.
Nothing.
She got promoted. Yeah. And then they hired an equity and diversity director. I'm not even fully sure what the fuck that is yet. She makes 90 grand a year base pay. She's from our neighboring town.
So for me, like, that's always been my, like, we always hear teachers need raises, pay the teachers more. But the problem is that we have such a bloated, across the nation, we have such a bloated administration staff like this that makes $90,000 a year for bullshit. They could hire at least
budgets.
1.5 teachers.
We had weird stuff in there. We had car allowances in there for certain admin. Why? You make $100,000 a year, buy your own fucking car.
Yeah, that's 2 teachers.
And what are they doing for, like, what is their job?
Nobody knows because everybody's got like assistants. The assistants have assistants. I mean, like, if you go like just take a look at like Dallas Independent School District in Dallas. He's one of the highest paid superintendents. He makes like $500,000 a year, and his home is paid for.
Yeah, we have.
And he lives in like a multi-million-dollar home.
Yep.
For free. On a $500,000 salary.
Yep. And you have like 80 assistants. Like, I want that job.
Hi, I have a question. From people who do not have kids, how can we help in this fight?
You can
to help you guys out, because okay, so we can just show up and speak.
Yeah, so if you're a taxpayer, whether you have kids or not, some states are different. In Illinois, like, if you live in a town and you pay taxes, it goes to your school district. So you are paying for that school even though you have no children, right? I'm sorry, I think you should get a say. Don't you?
Yeah, your taxes pay for the school.
Anybody can come. Anybody can go. So please go and pack those rooms and support them. Rally outside. You know, we have these awesome Unmask Our Kids signs, educate, not indoctrinate. They were made under our organization, which is Awake Illinois. We have chapters for every town. No, not every town, but we're growing.
Is it this movement that's doing like it's September 18th? Apparently there was like a nationwide Unmask Our Children thing. That was, I keep getting.
Did you see? Are you talking about the walkout?
I'm not 100% sure. I know that like Freedom 515 was thinking about attaching on to it. So I'm just now.
So I'm kind of torn on. So I'm seeing one floating around, and it's like 9 a.m. The students peacefully unmask and walk out for fresh air. And I'm sitting here thinking, what first grader do you know is going to look at a clock and go, "Oh fuck, it's 9 o'clock, time to protest"? Like, it's not going to work. These aren't good plans, guys. You know, and everyone was like, "Oh, we'll defy on the first day." Cool. What are you going to do on day 2 and day 3?
Right.
Have you even thought this through, or are you just angry? Because I want thought. I want plan. I want action. So it's irritating because passion gets in the way often. don't let it get in the way. Keep your head on straight. But rallying outside these meetings gets the media's attention. The last thing your school board wants is the paper saying anything negative about them. We got a school board member so flustered, she blurted out, "I don't work for the parents." And it went viral because some random ass news thing picked it up and like took all the bad snippets of her talking and made a video. We had nothing to do with that. They blame us for everything, but we didn't do that one. It went viral, like 100,000 views in like the first day, and it made the paper. You know, they don't like that stuff. Make yourself known. Don't just be angry yelling. Like, look into stuff. They can violate the Open Meetings Act. Look that up. Learn about that. Pay attention. You can look at past board meetings. You can look at the minutes and agenda. Go back and look at that stuff. You know, it's all important, especially the ones that nobody went to. Go back and look at those meetings. And FOIA stuff. FOIA stuff. It's so easy to do. Do not ask for physical copies because that will cost you money. Ask to view it, or simply an email copy is suffice. Be very specific in a FOIA. You want XX date to XX date. You can't be as bold and generic as like politics. It has to be very specific, like what politics. If you're looking for COVID stuff, again, be very specific. Did something happen on a certain day? Teachers being, inappropriate with students at school with, Black Lives Matter, CRT, COVID, Trump, Biden, any of that stuff. You can FOIA any communication your teacher had and get it all right from the horse's mouth. Like we have a parent, I think she's suing the district right now because one of the FOIAs, they didn't redact the student's name. We're not jerks. So before we posted it to social media, we blocked out the child's name.
Right, of course.
Mom caught wind of the mother of that child found out that they didn't redact it, and they can get in big freaking trouble for that. So there's an issue going, and like, again, I didn't do it, but I'm getting blamed because we're the ones that had it. But we blocked his name out. But like, you find stuff through this process, and like that has led us down some really weird rabbit holes, and it's led us down some really valuable ones. But you have to have like a group of people helping you.
What would you say is like the first initial step, like the easiest thing that you could give to parents who are like, okay, I want to do something and I've never done anything. I'm not involved. I don't know how anything works. What would you tell someone right off the gate?
If you're on Facebook, start a Facebook group. Name it something very non-confrontational, but is very clear on your stance, and start inviting parents in the community. Start talking to each other. If you know that there's an event or something that's going to have a lot of parents and you kind of know where some people stand, go talk to them. Start coming together. Like we have a group of about 10 or 11 parents. I can't do this by myself, guys. I don't do this by myself. There's about 10 or 11 of us that work behind the scenes literally 24/7. We have a message chat and it's just nonstop information flying and plan of attacks and everything. And we all read the FOIAs. You could divide it up and make it not as overwhelming. That's how we're staying sane. If I was doing this by myself, I would not be this far. Like
I recommend going to
very valuable
your school
people.
board, your school district Facebook page, go through the comments, find the hate comments, and add those people. It's really easy to find your people. I mean, go through the comments. I mean, see how angry parents are.
So
that's what I've done and reached out. Like
we did that.
I'm the weird girl, but
no, we did that in when the news articles get posted to Facebook. All the people in favor, like we will go in and try to like, hey, come join our little club. And sometimes we get hits that way, and it's nice. But we've gotten a lot more parents recently. Like
what does BLM
all the hype of everything?
What does BLM have to do with schools?
CRT.
Well, it's part of CRT.
Yeah, and teachers think it's okay to wear BLM shirts to school.
And like buttons, a lot of teachers are still wearing
and vaccines.
And coming to school with like Black Lives Matter gear.
I can't tell you all of what's going on here, Aunt. You'll probably flip your lid.
Well, so I'll let you know. I know a little bit because my sister-in-law is actually a school teacher in Mokina. And so what she did last year was she left the school for not these reasons, but she left school about 5 years ago to raise her kid. She's got 2 kids, but what she ended up doing was when COVID hit, because she was a licensed teacher, she ended up starting a homeschool at-home classroom with the kids in the subdivision.
Awesome.
So whatever parents wanted that to be the, so she literally, when I'm telling you, she turned a whole room into her house into an elementary school. I mean, there were little desks. I mean, it was so adorable, but
God bless her.
So she had kids, she had a group of kids.
That's a good teacher.
What's that? She was a great
teacher.
Yeah, and they had recess one hour, or 30 minutes a day, and then they went outside and they played, and she did all these different projects. I mean, it was the most. I mean, when I went there, I'm like, I have to see it. Like, I was a fan. I'm like, I have to go see the classroom.
It's awesome.
And you walk in and it says, "Welcome to Mrs. Meyer's room," and you're like, oh my god! And there's like the kids' pictures and stuff. And look, and they wanted to do that. They want the parents in that subdivision wanted her to do it again and again because they felt safe.
So those are co-ops.
It's awesome.
They exist. They're a little bit hard to get started because one parent pretty much has to step up. So we actually had someone do that for first grade for our district. They set up a classroom just like your sister did, and they got binders. They did all the things. They weren't asking for money. I met these people. They're not weirdos. And she had a meeting to get this started. Nobody showed up. So all these parents crying that they don't have help and they don't know how to homeschool and they can't do this, like, no one showed up.
I hate to say it.
I really wish I had a first
They don't
grader.
even want to get in the car. Like,
well, but that's America in 2021, unfortunately. Now, Rebel, let me ask you this, because you do all this work, you file your FOIAs, which is Freedom of Information Act. You do your speeches, and nothing happens, or the opposite happens of what you're fighting for. How do you handle that? Like, what's that process like for you?
Ask my husband. It depends on what goes on and how it affects me. I've had meltdowns. I mean, this is not for the weak, and not everyone has to do what I'm doing, but you need somebody. You need to find somebody that's that person. This is a great time for anyone who wants to run for school board the next time around to have their face out there. This is the time, because anyone who can rerun that's currently on board can't campaign right now, but you can. What better time? Take the stance on the kids' choice, parents' choice, get your name out there as a board member and take the lead and build an army of parents behind you. Those are votes. Like, I've said a million times in our group, we have some contenders. Anybody in our group that wants to run, I will campaign for you. I don't want to be on the school board. I don't need another job. I do too much already. But I will campaign like hell. You have our full endorsement, which is 1,400 parents in our group. I will do everything to make sure that they get it. And I will do that if we have 3, if we have 4 people running. So,
because I think we see that like across the board, as far as whether it be a school board, county commissioners meeting, or even your city councils, when they go into these meetings and they're set to vote, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, they already have their minds made up. So no matter what speech you write, no matter what you say in your speech, no matter how compelling it might be, they've already got their mind made up. And so that can be the most frustrating thing amongst anybody that's speaking in front, whether it be a school board, city council, or county commissioners meeting, is that you prep all yourself, and there's always a winning side and there's always a losing side, right? And so I think one thing we got to realize is that, I think you and I had talked about it right before the podcast, Rebel, is that we got to look at this as like it's a big war, not just, and you can't win it all at once. Like, no war is ever won.
We won mass optional a month ago. Like, they shocked us. We did not think that was going to go in our favor. By the time you're at the board meeting, this is just like your final part of your battle. So you should have already done the grunt work leading up to the board meeting. Put pressure on them. Leading up to that, their inboxes should be flooded with your stances. Documentation, studies, data. whatever, testimonies from doctors, anything that you want to throw at them, flood them. Have your friend flood them. Have your aunts flood them. Everybody flood their inboxes. They hate it. You have to form that opinion before the board meeting. But the board meeting is like, the paper's there. It's live streamed and people are watching. So you kind of like seal in your points at that board meeting, but you have already done a buttload of pressure prior. So that's like, those have to go hand in hand. So don't expect to make changes by just showing up to a board meeting and yelling at the board. You're not going to get anywhere.
It's true. No. I mean, showing up to a county commissioners meeting is similar. And most of the time like I said, they already got their minds made up because they know what they're voting on, and they're just hearing you out one last time. But I've never really seen it change anybody's opinions coming into it. Like you said, it has to be done beforehand, whether that be harassing them essentially outside of the meetings before that vote happens.
Well, and every time that you go to these meetings, you're meeting new people. That's the important part, is that you're building your community every single time. If you're not trying to build relationships every time that you're doing something, then what's the point? Because you need a bunch of people behind you to do anything.
Right.
Our last 2 board meetings, we had a lot of new people, and the main consensus was they were so glad that they came. They want to come back, and they were glad that they met everyone that they met. And that's the only way you're going to build your group. Yeah. And a lot of parents feel alone still. I felt alone last year. I don't feel alone anymore. But there's still parents that feel alone. My journey is why I'm not alone anymore. I met I was not a parent person. Like, I hated play dates. I hated dealing with other moms. Like, it's just not my thing. Like, there's parents I like. I didn't know that before this. Like, I made our little parent group, we're like family at this point. It's kind of like you guys. You guys have this and you do this. Like, we do this school stuff nonstop. I'd probably walk into any of their houses and they probably wouldn't freak out. Probably not. But yeah.
Well, that's good though, because that creates that camaraderie between you guys, and then it allows others to start recruiting and being more accepted whenever they get recruited.
People see that and they want to be a part of that. Yeah. Like me as a mom, if I saw that, like, okay, I need to be a part of this.
Yeah, exactly.
We all have different strengths too, and that is like so helpful. Like, one's a paralegal and a realtor. So when we were looking into like land cash fees, impact fees, I didn't know what any of that was. I do now. And if you don't, you should learn. But she knew what all that was. So she broke it all down for me, stupid style. And I was like, thank you so much. And then she started doing her digging. She's like the best researcher you could ever have on your team. And we have another, we have a social media person. She posts our board meetings every month. She mods our groups. We have people that attend physical meetings. Everyone's got their spot. And sometimes we got to step out for a bit. We have a man right now. He can't help right now. He's got stuff going on. We're like, you know what? That's fine. Come back when you can. We'll be here. We got you. And that's how we survive this. We don't worry about who's doing what. We all just pull our weight. We help each other. We support each other. And we all have to tell each other we have a bigger picture here that we have to keep fighting. And nothing else matters. Everyone's opinions, what the media says, it doesn't matter. You just keep going forward because it is working. I think we got hybrid because of the pressure we put on the school last year. I think that's how we got hybrid. I don't think we were going back. Right. So it works, but you have to be relentless.
So Rebel, where can people reach you at if they have questions? Because I know you've been pretty open to answering any type of questions that anybody has on TikTok. Because usually I tag you in anything and everything that involves school board. So
yeah, everyone's situation and states are so different. So this is a very custom subject. I have a link tree on TikTok. My handle is rebel_fox88. Linktree takes you to my Instagram. Don't message me on TikTok. I don't really check it. I check Instagram. So you can just hit me there and I will answer or try to answer any questions. And then I also have some resources in my Linktree on my bio. Even if it's Illinois related, you should still read it because a lot of that stuff does carry over, like the CRT stuff. Like, that's not just Illinois, that's everywhere. And Education First Alliance, there's a link to that on my page. They have state chapters. So you could join Education First Alliance and they they kind of do a lot for you, and they get your chapter set up for your state, and you participate in the meetings and you learn what's coming down the pipeline. It's a really great organization that we're a part of. We have an Illinois chapter now, and highly recommend that. If CRT is a concern in your area, they know everything, and they will just pad you up to battle. Like, they're incredible. Highly recommend. If there's not a chapter, you start one. And then I have the Unmask Our Kids shirts in the link tree in my bio too. Highly recommend, like, wear the same color, get shirts made, signs made, like, have them look professional. Like, no sloppy handwriting, keep the fucking glitter off the signs, clean cut.
Spelling correctly.
Wait, no glitter?
I misspelled on a sign and didn't catch it right away. No, because when you have to hold that sign above your head, there's glitter everywhere. It's horrible. I know because I did it. But yeah.
Well, I appreciate
just get out there,
taking time to come out, because I know that so many parents are feeling like they're by themselves, and you are like kicking ass and taking names, and you've inspired me to get more involved, and I thank you for that. And I know that you're inspiring a lot of people to step up and do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So, like, I appreciate you doing what you're doing. I appreciate you taking the time to come today, and, like, please keep kicking ass and showing us what you're doing, because it's working.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I need, like, parents stop being afraid, guys. Like, no one's taken me out yet, and I'm allowed now. Like, I'm surprised I don't have a hitman on me at this point. But, like, they can't do anything to you. My business was threatened by an ex-board member. If I sue them, they can't bring their dog to me anymore. And I was like, oh, big loss. You know, like, they can't do anything to you. I haven't lost any business. I have a wait list. Like, my business is in town. Half the town parents hate me. I'm fine. Don't be afraid.
Right.
Don't be afraid. Let go of that.
I like that.
Dive in. Let your passion get the best of you, and just get out there and get loud.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. That's what we're
Love
having.
it. Absolutely. We're going to end with that, because.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely.